Welcome to That 80s Show. Hello, Dori. How you doing?
Oh, trundling along, listening to 80s music.
As we trundle in the days of our lives, the 1980s to today is as far as World War I was to the 1980s. Just let that sink in for a second. But we don't care, Dori. We're going to jump right into it because we have a very, very themed show this year, and that theme this year today, and that theme is Oscar time. Do we care about the Oscars? I cared about the Oscars. Was quite a big thing in the 80s. Now it's just like a gawk fest, don't you feel?
I mean, I think nobody cares about the Oscars like we used to care about the Oscars. I'm sure their viewership has like really gone down. I can't say for a fact, but I used to watch the whole thing religiously years ago. I do not watch it now. I now go onto YouTube the next day and I watch clips. That's what I do.
There was a thing. I wonder if 80s and 90s was like Oscar heyday, because it was like cinema and popular culture heyday. So we used to watch Grammys. We used to watch as well. And you're right. Now the Oscars, you're kind of like, because social media, obviously in South Africa, the Oscars happens the night before. So it happens while we're sleeping. And then you wake up the next morning, you're like bombarded on social media with all the memes and all the things that happen. You're like, oh.
And all the winners. So there's no point in watching because you know all the winners.
But do you see winners? I see more like bullshit. I see more like nonsense. There was no slap this year. Good or bad thing. Some people, say slap's the best thing that happened to Oscars in years. But so winners, I mean, a couple of interesting things there. That movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I mean, I love a time travel thing, but I couldn't get into that movie.
I think you're not supposed to try and make sense of it. You just got to go along for the ride.
Just bubble
because it is not an easy. No, it is not an easy movie to watch.
So normally every week we select movies. Jamie Lee Curtis inspired my movie this week.
Cool.
What I found is a list, because you said you're not going to do a movie this week. We're going to talk about Oscar winners from the 80s.
Yeah.
I've got a list that goes from Flickering Myth movie blog, which takes the Oscar winners right through the 80s, the Oscar winners for Best Picture, and recommends what they think should have been another winner. So in some cases, it is probably more box office success type of movie. In others, it's just their personal preference of a movie from that year. So how do you want to do this? So let's do this way, right? You go through from 1980 to 1989, talking about the movie. We'll talk about the actual winner. And as you finish the actual winner, I'll tell you what they recommend should have been the replacement. Okay, right.
That's cool. And I mean, I might do even more than the actual Best Picture. There's a few other things. There's a few other categories that are worth a mention.
All right.
But let's start with Best Picture from 1980, which is a movie called Ordinary People. Now, have you watched Ordinary People, Paulo?
No, I can't say I have. So the other contender for that year was Raging Bull. Now, I watched Raging Bull, right?
Now, Raging Bull is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Ordinary People don't know.
I think I have watched Ordinary People because I think we actually had to do it in film school. But if it is the one I'm thinking of, I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It is schlock. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's definitely, there is meaning and all that kind of stuff. Because we did it in film school. We did, I remember now, we did it in film school to explain narrative and, unfolding a story.
What's it about? So I see directed by Robert Redford, and it's
like a relationship drama.
Okay, relationship drama. Boring. I think Raging Bull was just better, because the movie you're saying sounds boring as hell. Raging Bull was awesome. It had boxing. It had black and white, except the blood was red. It had Robert De Niro getting beaten up and beating people up.
I mean, it was just visually amazing. Great story from what I remember, because it has been a while. But yeah,
Robert De Niro won
spoken about it at some point on the show.
Exactly. Robert De Niro won Best Actor. But what they're saying, Empire Strikes Back should have won the Oscar for Best Picture that year.
Well, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I'll go along with it.
So we go 1981. I watched this movie a lot. It was one of the movies we studied in high school. I didn't study in film school, Chariots of Fire.
So we didn't study Chariots of Fire at school. And it actually, and to this day, I have not seen that movie.
What? How?
I've seen bits of it. I know the music very well. I know the story. I just never got around to watching it. I don't know.
Did you watch the alternate universe winner, Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes.
All right. So 1982, the actual winner, Ben Kingsley as Gandhi, which would not happen today.
Not. Another movie I have never seen.
But we know Gandhi, but I mean, that highly problematic because you're not having a very Anglo-Saxon Ben Kingsley, although he says he does have Indian heritage. The alternate universe winner,
yeah,
and you've recommended this before, The Thing.
Oh, I mean, come on. The Thing versus Gandhi. Come on.
Another snooze fest, 1983 winner, Terms of Endearment.
Again, another
You watched
movie.
this piece of crap?
I haven't watched it. So many of these movies I have not watched.
Now, in our preferred universe, Videodrome from the same year wins.
Come on. I mean, Videodrome is a you're going to sit there going, what the hell is going on? But way more interesting.
Especially when you see Debbie Harry in it. Like, what the fuck's Blondie, the chick from Blondie doing? Yeah.
And that whole scene where she's in it is like, what? Mind blowing. Yep. Fantastic.
Do you remember this movie? It was also a piece of crap. Amadeus. That one, Best Oscar 1984.
Piece of crap. Not a piece of crap. This is one that I actually loved. I loved Amadeus.
In this alternative universe, Terminator wins 1984. You cannot argue with that.
Actually, yeah, I think I would go for Terminator over Amadeus, I have to say.
Another hugely problematic movie, 1985, Out of Africa. Oh, remember all the white gloves. Very colonial.
Also, I have watched it. Horribly overrated movie. Oh my God.
Problematic themes.
But that year, Don Ameche won Best Supporting Actor for Cocoon. I would go with Cocoon as the alternative. Or what does our article say?
So what they say is a movie, I mean, and this gets very niche, is a movie called Ran. It's medieval Japan. A warlord retires, handing over his empire to his 3 sons. However, he vastly underestimates how the newfound power will corrupt them and cause them to turn on each other.
Is this a Japanese film?
Japanese film. This was actually a good one, 1986, Platoon.
Oh, fantastic movie. Great movie. Can't argue with that one. What is the alternative universe?
They do argue Aliens.
Aliens, that's the second one.
That's the second one. Again, on the war theme, I think set both Vietnam War movies. And I'm giving this, I'm not even arguing. Last Emperor won, but Full Metal Jacket, they're saying in this alternate universe, Full Metal Jacket wins. This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for fighting, this is for fun.
I mean, I'm sorry. The Last Emperor is an epic. I remember I did go watch it, probably at the movies. It's an epic, it's arty, it's all the things. But Full Metal Jacket, come on, man, Full Metal Jacket.
Also, The Last Emperor, for the longest time, I didn't realize that The Last Emperor and Golden Child were 2 separate movies.
There is that. Well, I mean, Golden Child is kind of spoof of The Last Emperor, isn't it? Is it? I mean,
I think so. The poster's the same. It's both got a mythical child.
Think so. 1987 is really interesting because Michael Douglas won for Wall Street.
Okay.
Another great film. Sean Connery won Best Supporting Actor for The Untouchables, another movie that you've done.
Right.
There was also a lot more awards. So Visual Effects Award went to Inner Space, a movie I have spoken about. Fantastic. I can't imagine another movie that could have even gone up against that one. Harry and the Hendersons won for Best Makeup. I mean, but then if you just look through, no, the special mention, original song from 1987. The Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing. That's a great winner.
How can you argue that? So this is why we gave a shit about the Oscars in the 80s, because it recognized the best movies ever. So this is why everyone cared.
The live action short film winner, which I have never seen but will absolutely hunt down now, is a movie called Ray's Male Heterosexual Dance Hall.
Sounds like where you want to go. Listen, Full Metal Jacket, I mean, let's just go back.
Yes.
Great. The first hour is fantastic. I must have watched the first hour maybe 100 times.
Then you can like kind of leave. The
Right.
second hour, Right. As soon as they get to the actual war zone, you're done.
The tone completely changes. It stops being hilarious. Kind of like when the guy,
It's not supposed to be hilarious. Boy, I think we read this movie very differently, you and I.
Right. In 1988, Rain Man wins. Well, not a bad movie, but compared to Die Hard, I'm giving it
is a good movie. It was Die Hard that year. Is that what the alternative universe recommends?
Correct.
Die Hard?
Yeah.
Because that was also the year of A Fish Called Wonder. Kevin Kline won Best Supporting Actor.
Comedies never win.
Oh, that's true, hey? Oh, you know what else is on this list? Original song, Carly Simon, Let the River Run from Working Girl. Beetlejuice won for Best Makeup. You see, for me, I would make Beetlejuice the best movie for this year.
Since okay, I'll give you Beetlejuice. Did you see? Listen, they've been teasing a Beetlejuice sequel for years. There's been so many attempted, and now
I can't imagine that it could be good. I can't imagine how it could be good.
So
it would have to be Tim Burton.
So Tim Burton, he's the reason they've never made it, because he hates sequels. He doesn't want sequels. He won't make another Beetlejuice. The stories go, there's like Beetlejuice in Hawaii. So they go to this like nether underworld version of Hawaii, which sounds hilarious. But now the story is, this Jenna Ortega, the girl who's in Wednesday?
Yes.
She's linked to do a new Beetlejuice. Yeah, not going to do it. Okay, 1989. Oh my God, this movie sucked. Driving Miss Daisy won.
Oh, God.
But the alternative also sucked.
When? No, My Left Foot, right?
No. Oh. Dead Poets Society. 1989, 1990, 1991, where I would have seen Dead Poets Society, right? I have zero interest in watching a movie about school when I'm in school. Unless it's like shenanigans, romped, summer school type of thing. I don't want to watch like a real serious movie about school while I'm at school. I'm not doing it.
Oh, but Dead Poets Society is a really, really cool film.
That is our Oscar wrap-up. You said a lot of things in there. So that's the Oscars, the winners, our thoughts on them, and then an alternative universe, other movies from that year that could have won Best Picture. Now, you said a few things in there that are the basis that encouraged my movie, right? So, and there's parallels. We're going to go to a song. The song I'm going to play is from my movie.
Okay.
Right? It's the other song by Berlin. Berlin had another song, right?
I had no idea.
It's you'll know this song. It's the other song by Berlin. But in your preamble there, you said Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
Yeah.
You said Carly Simon, okay?
Yeah.
You didn't say John Travolta, okay? John Travolta showed up at the Oscars. You didn't say John Travolta. But they all combine for my movie. But let's listen to the other Berlin song first. Welcome back to That 80 Show. We got very Oscar-related themes in the show today. So Dori was talking about, some Oscar winners from the 80s. Like I said, you mentioned Jamie Lee Curtis and you mentioned Carly Simon. And of course, I see Jamie Lee Curtis wins Best Supporting Actress, right?
Yes.
Okay. So she wins and I go, okay, what movies did Jamie Lee Curtis do in the 80s? And of course, there's all the different horror movies she was in. And she was in A Fish Called Wonder. I was like, no, that's not the right movie for me. So I found a movie because the next name that comes up starring with John Travolta in a movie, Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta. I'm like, I'm all over that. Okay. I found a movie. I watched a movie that...
You watched it?
I watched it because it is outrageous, Dori. You are going to watch this.
I know what movie it is.
Okay. It's great because you're going to go, but we've done this movie before. No. We've spoken about... There are so many memes and moments from this movie that are part of meme culture, right? Mm-hmm. that you go, no, we've spoken about this movie. So in the 70s, there was a New York Times article about disco, right? And this inspired them to make Saturday Night Fever, cast John Travolta, huge success.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, there's an article, I think in the Rolling Stone, about urban cowboys, right? About this rise in cowboy culture coming back into cowboy culture coming back into the zeitgeist, people dressing like cowboys, line dancing. They make a movie about it, Urban Cowboy, starring John Travolta, huge hit.
Right.
They go, third time lucky, we're going to get it right. So there is a Rolling Stone article about the rise in gyms and fitness clubs in the 80s. Now remember, there was no such thing before. There were gyms, but it wasn't the kind of dawn of the health club we know now. That started in the 80s.
Yeah.
And oh boy, it was a lot more than that. So this article was called Searching for Mr. Goodbody, and it was about how people are using health clubs as pickup joints. And it reminded me back in the 80s, like now you go to gym, it's a family thing, like you don't think about it. I remember there was like a tawdriness to gyms in the 80s. Do you remember, Dori?
I never went to gym in the 80s. I only started going to gym in the 2000s.
No, but like decent people didn't go. No, only like loose women and, you know, swingers went to clubs in the 80s, gyms, right? Because that was
when I was in school, only one of my friends went to gym, and that was because her dad used to go to play squash. Squash was a big thing.
Okay. Yeah.
He would go play squash, and she would go and she'd be like, "Oh, I can go to gym," and she'd like go and, you know, run on the treadmill, blah blah blah, whatever. But she was the only person I knew, our age especially, who went to gym.
Yeah. It was like a bit of a tawdry thing. I remember it was like You Magazine. Fucking
You Magazine.
write-ups.
But also isn't the 80s when aerobics classes really started?
So that brings us to my movie.
Yes, so exactly.
This movie was actually, the screenplay was written by the guy who wrote this article in the Rolling Stone. And the story goes, you've got John Travolta plays a reporter. He's trying to, I don't know, there's a bad guy. He's trying to write a story on him, but it's like a lot of loose ends. So so the Rolling Stone says, listen, we're not going to send, I don't know if he's working, I can't remember if he's working for the Rolling Stone, but he's working for a Rolling Stone type publication.
Yeah.
And they say, look, you can cover the story, but we're not going to cover costs unless you've got another story to like go undercover, kind of, to cover the two stories at once. So he writes a story, he goes, okay, I'm going to write the story about health clubs in the 80s and how they pick up joints for singles. And then he goes off, and that's kind of like his cover. And his expense account for being in LA.
Yeah.
And he meets the aerobics instructor, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
And he falls in love with her.
Right.
And they have a romp. Now,
a romp.
The level of thrusting in this movie.
Yes, that's what I remember. That's what I remember from the trailer. Oh my God. It's just lots of hip thrusts in leotards and leg warmers.
Constantly. Constantly. People are constantly, I mean, the level of thrusting is dangerous. Like, you could get hurt by the thrusting just by watching. You're like, there is no way. Like, you're going to speak to a personal trainer. You're going to speak to somebody like biokineticist. They're like, don't do that. You will really hurt yourself if you thrust that hard, okay? And I'm going to finish this off. I want to show you I want to show you a video of the closing credits of this movie. Okay. So anyway, this is the shenanigans of the movie. There's some weird B story about the original story John Travolta's covering with this guy who's selling drugs. And then there was a story about Jamie Lee Curtis. She was supposed to go to the Olympics, and then she had an affair with her coach, and that was
I definitely haven't watched it. Definitely haven't watched it. But can I just quickly, before you finish off, can I just say that out of all the songs on this movie soundtrack, you chose to play the Berlin song, which has to be one of the crappiest songs ever made.
So I'm going to get there.
They have.
No, don't. I'm going to get
when
there.
They have amazing songs.
I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
Wait. Patiently.
So listen, you got to watch it. Everybody's good looking. They're good looking in an 80s way. Some of the guys got like major, like dodgy character mustaches.
Can I just say, on the Wikipedia page, it says that in 2015, the film was covered on the podcast for bad movies called How Did This Get Made?
So that's where I went to listen afterwards. Okay. I love how did this get made. But you got to understand them because I go, but hold on a second. The last two movies we did like this with John Travolta, huge hits. John Travolta is quite a big star. The Rolling Stone article, people really liked it. And people like gyms. That's in the zeitgeist. But they say that's why the film flopped, because people went, this is just a shameless cash grab. Like, you're just trying to make money out of something that's a trend. And fuck that. And I also think it's the thing about gyms. I don't think people like really got it. I don't think they, by and large, I think it was very much for younger single people, but I don't think it was like a thing what it is now. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's get into that. Let's get into that soundtrack.
Tarantino has called the movie greatly underappreciated.
I agree. I agree with him. You need to watch that movie now, Dori. I'm telling you.
I'm gonna watch it now. I have to watch it now.
So much thrusting.
Yeah.
Okay. So the soundtrack, and I know I saw it.
The soundtrack. Yeah.
This has got to be what this has got fantastic. Now listen, obviously a lot of the action takes place in a gym in aerobics classes, so they need high tempo music, right?
Yeah.
Stuff by maybe Michael Jackson. Oh, we can't afford Michael Jackson, so let's get Jermaine Jackson. Right.
It is the closest thing to perfect. That's the name of the song.
Oh, I didn't mention the movie's called Perfect, by the way. That's the name of the movie. The movie's called Perfect, okay? I kept trying to not make the pun on it, but the movie's called Perfect.
Yeah.
And yes, Jermaine Jackson, and in brackets, closest thing to Perfect.
Yes. Yes.
He contributes 2 songs. His second song with Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Right? And this is Whitney Houston, How Do I Know?
Yes.
Whitney Houston. You know, the greatest love of all, Whitney. She had just released that. So this is not up and coming Whitney Houston. Jermaine Stewart is also on it. Okay, not doing what? We don't have to take our clothes off.
Take our clothes off.
No, his other great hit, Wear Out the Grooves.
I don't know if I know that one. I'm gonna go listen. Yeah,
a movie that I had to. Oh, that's perfect. Lou Reed with a song called "Hot Hips." Of course, there's lots of thrusting. Hips get hot.
Yes.
We heard Berlin Masquerade, Berlin's other song. Thompson Twins.
Yes. Lay Your Hands on Me.
Lay Your Hands on Me. Pointer Sisters also in there, but of course, what you're talking about.
What am I talking about, Paulo?
And the scene isn't in isolation. I could not find it. It's only in the movie. I cannot find the scene by itself. Maybe is it pirating if I film the screen and post? But anyway, there is an aerobics class to Wham Rap. Enjoy what you do.
I never knew that Wham Rap had been on a soundtrack until right this minute.
Right? Now, because I'm watching it, and you hear Wham more in movies, like shows and movies now. Yeah. But in the 80s, it was like, you know, they weren't that big in America yet. I want to go to aerobics class, do aerobics to Wham Rap. You know,
with Jamie Lee Curtis as your instructor.
Of course, get your heart rate up.
Plus those hips.
Jamie Lee Curtis, her character is an aerobics instructor. Obviously earned money somewhere because she got a very nice car, very nice apartment, cannot afford bras. Never wearing a bra.
Does she need one?
No support. But you're doing aerobics, you need support.
Oh, true, yeah.
Right. And then Carly Simon, there's a cameo. She does not like John Travolta's character, does something to him in a restaurant.
Oh.
Yeah. Throws a drink at him.
I'm going to watch this movie. I am so keen now.
You have got to watch this movie. I was never keen before,
but you've sold it to me.
Right. Now, what will really take you over the edge?
Oh my God. There's more?
On YouTube, it is titled as the greatest closing credit scene ever.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And when you click on the link, we won't be able to hear it, but I want you to describe what is happening in this. Now, it's a closing credit scene that's now just kind of showing us all the main characters with the names of the actors who played them, right?
Okay.
So that's what Dori is going to be watching. We're putting that, it is up right now on that 80 Show SA Facebook page, so you can watch along. And but Dori is about to be hip thrust.
Oh my God. There is so much thrusting on screen right now.
Dori, the amount of
thrusting. There are people looking at the cameras, smiling, thrusting.
There is a guy called Roger, and Roger he's rogering. Yeah, Roger in the red vest, he is thrusting.
So thrusting. And then there is Marilu Henner as Sally in her pink leotard. Oh my God, what is this? Linda, who is played by Lorraine Newman in her very weird purple leotard.
Yeah.
And they are doing that move used to be known as I must develop my bust move.
Okay. Well,
yes.
I hope it works for this. Frankie is very energetic, high energy. You can see by the way she's dancing.
Frankie is all over the place. She is very happy in her pink leotard with black belt and grey leggings. Mark Roth is doing something with his hips that should be illegal.
Wait.
No.
Wait.
Just no.
Wait.
There's Jamie Lee Curtis in her very nice blue leotard, doing also weird hip circle things. Did they actually film this specifically for the grid?
And then there's John Travolta's character.
Very sweaty John Travolta just standing there with his hands on his hips looking just like he's done.
He can't keep up.
I'm done.
No.
I can't
keep up with this class.
No.
It's too much thrusting. I'll save that for a massage parlor in the late 2000s.
Oh my God. And then there is a scene of like slow motion thrusting and they zoom in on the genitals. Why?
Yeah.
Why would they?
I think that's... I don't think that was in the movie. I think that's what this person who put this.
Okay, the person who put the YouTube video. I mean, all credits to you, WWK Nashakori.
Yeah, because you can definitely see the close-up. You can definitely see who's talking now. That's what you can do.
I don't think I can take much more.
So much thrusting in such a short space of time. That's my movie. Perfect. You have to watch this movie, Dori. Promise me.
I will watch it as soon as possible when I have time, which will be in a year. But no, I will watch it as soon as I can.
You know, there's that one channel on YouTube that takes tons of clips from movies and just kind of puts them in sequential order. So it's like all the best clips.
Yeah.
Watch that. Because the one thing, there's a character I didn't even mention. Their State of the 80s laptop.
Yeah.
And there is a scene with Jamie Lee Curtis types John Travolta a message on there. It's going to end in thrusting. Let me just tell you that. She says, "Do you want to thrust, but thrust is the F word."
Oh, right. Got it.
This is an outrageous movie. Outrageous. So that's my movie. Perfect. Only one for you, but we gave you a whole bunch of 80s movies that you can go back and watch. You can watch Oscar winners. You can watch big box office movies. It's all there for you. We're going to end the show with game 2 80s truths and a lie, right? I get you 3 factoids from the 80s. 2 are true, 1 is a lie. You need to identify them. I got some doozies this week. Only one of them is Oscar related. So the first one is, Walk Like an Egyptian was banned from the radio after 9/11 because it vaguely references the Middle East. Okay, number 1, the Bangles, Walk Like an Egyptian, banned post 9/11. We spoke earlier about Robert De Niro winning Raging Bull, or not winning Best Actor for Raging Bull. So, you know, this is Oscars after party. Robert De Niro lost his Best Actor Oscar for Raging Bull at an Oscars after party. It was in fact stolen as a prank by Robert Duvall, who only returned it to him 20 years later.
20 years?
Robert Duvall was, I can't remember what movie, but he was also in the running for Best Actor, didn't win it. And then Mickey by Tony Basil, you know, Hey Mickey, You're So Fine, was originally called Kitty, but the producers changed it so it would be about a man. Hey Kitty, You're So Fine. Those 3 facts. One of them is a lie.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Bangles one is true because it sounds familiar. And if it's not true and it sounds familiar, then I'm living in an alternative universe. But I'm gonna assume that the Bangles one is true.
You are correct.
Now between the other 2, yes. Oh, okay, great. So you're giving me help along. Okay, yeah. No, I seem to remember that. And I remember thinking it was really insane at the time. So now it's between Robert Duvall and Kitty or Mickey.
Instead of like catching Osama bin Laden, you know, let's go after the Bangles. Okay.
Let's ban the Bangles.
That's a sensible thing.
I'm going to say that the Oscar thing is true and that the Kitty Mickey thing is a lie.
I know, it just sounds so ridiculous because like, Hey Mickey is such a you know, thoughtful song. Are you locking that in, Dori?
I am. Am I wrong?
You are wrong. I made up the Robert De Niro thing. Pretty good, though.
That is a very good story.
Pretty good. Yeah, so Tony Basil's Mickey was originally called Kitty, and they said, no, that's actually not just for a man, that's stupid.
Hey, Kitty, you're so fine, you know, I think it's...
I mean, it works. I suppose in a universe when we don't know, hey, Mickey.
Exactly.
Yeah, I suppose it does work. But yes, Robert De Niro did not lose his Best Actor Oscar. And I imagine at that point, he was so like boxing fresh. He was in fighting form.
Yeah.
Robert Duvall, strong old man. Robert De Niro is punching you out. I'm sorry.
I mean, Robert Duvall wasn't that old back then. Let's remember.
Okay, but he wasn't Robert De Niro.
No.
Right.
Robert Duvall, from what I remember, was quite tall. Yeah.
Listen, they're both tough guys. But I mean, in this lie universe of mine, Robert Duvall's not taking Robert De Niro's Oscar.
No one's taking Robert De Niro's Oscar.
So this has been That 80s Show, Oscar-themed, unwittingly. Very Oscar-themed. And I just wanted to touch on one thing. We didn't cover it in detail, but obviously we saw John Travolta come full circle. Yeah. He did an Olivia Newton-John tribute at the Oscars. And I did want to talk about an Olivia Newton-John tribute concert from probably about a month back now that was held in Australia. Some great names there. Dolly Parton giving tributes, Mariah Carey giving tributes, Pink giving tributes, Elton John, Nicole Kidman. But we'll post this article up on That 80s Show SF Facebook page so you can watch all of those tribute videos for yourself. And we hear that our friend, the celeb savant, Barrett, is lining up a very special Olivia Newton-John tribute episode.
Yes.
So give him a subscribe at the Celeb Savant everywhere, and you'll find the link to his podcast. Subscribe now so you can get that Olivia Newton-John tribute episode. It'll be very special coming soon.
Hello.
Yes, Dori.
What did you learn on today's episode?
What did I learn on today's episode is that I don't think, and I learned this before, thrusting is not going to get you in good shape, get you locked up. If you thrust like that in public today, oh my God, you know, there's this whole thing like people, like women getting harassed in gym and stuff like that. Can you imagine that level of thrusting in today's gyms? Oh.
Well, I mean, think about it. How different is it from twerking? The only difference is that the focus is on the front of the body versus the back of the body. Oh, it's essentially the same thing.
That's a good point. But I'm very unlikely to see John Travolta's balls while he's twerking.
Well, that's what I learned today, is that I did not want to see that, but I saw it. I did not want to.
I mean, I saw the tip of his Pulp Fiction, if you know what I mean. That was not... Those are loose-fitting. He wasn't wearing anything under there. I mean, we're talking very sexy John Travolta. I still don't want to see his nuts.
Wow, that was a lot. That shows a lot. I need to go and lie down now.
Yeah, no, go do that. You deserve it. I think I'm going to go do the same myself. Thanks for joining me, Dori. Goodbye.
Bye.